Kash Patel expected to be sworn in as FBI director this afternoon after a narrow Senate confirmation vote of 51 to 49. Patel is a Trump loyalist who worked for the first Trump administration. He's been a fierce critic of the FBI in the past and has vowed to bring reform to the agency he believes has become corrupt. I want to bring in ABC News contributing political correspondent Rachel Bade. Rachel, what are you hearing from Democratic lawmakers and perhaps even those two Republican holdouts about his confirmation?
Well, we can certainly say that lawmakers in both parties, who both like and dislike Kash Patel at the FBI, they agree on one thing, and that is that the fox is in the henhouse here. I mean, this is a guy who, for the past 8 years, has been criticizing the FBI and law enforcement, saying that they have sort of been running these witch hunts against Donald Trump, that they've been going after conservatives too much. And now the guy who has been criticizing the agency for so long is leading it. And he's going to be cleaning house and totally changing things up at the FBI. Now, where lawmakers differ, of course, is whether or not that's a good thing. Obviously, Republicans, a lot of them agree with this, and they voted to confirm him. But there was actually bipartisan opposition to his nomination and ultimately his confirmation. Two Republicans, as you just mentioned, two centrist Republicans voted with Democrats opposing Kash Patel, and that is because they worry that this is a guy who's going to go after Donald Trump's perceived enemies, and that is not what law enforcement is obviously supposed to be doing.
On another note, Senate Republicans passed budget resolution last night after nearly 10 hours. It was what they call a vote-a-rama. Break down what came out of this and why it took so long, why it took all night.
You know, the Senate has a lot of bizarre procedures, and one of them is that whenever they vote on a budget, everybody can offer as many amendments as they want. They call it vote-a-rama, and this is one of the few times that senators actually have the opportunity to amend legislation. A lot of times when legislation comes to the floor, they limit the number of amendments, and only leadership allows certain things to come up for votes. That's different here. Basically what this was a first step toward Republicans beginning the process to pass major bills to enact Donald Trump's agenda, whether it's the border, whether it's military increases. Eventually it'll be tax cuts and tax reform. But this is just the first process. Unfortunately for Republicans, Democrats, again, have this opportunity to put them on record and make them take difficult political votes that they then will use on the campaign trail against them. Things like an amendment, for instance, saying, look, if you're a billionaire, you're not going to get a tax cut, which, by the way, is a very popular idea, and yet most Republicans, all Republicans almost, voted against it. You can expect Democrats are going to use that against Republicans in the midterms.
So that's the vote-a-rama, but what happens next week when the House takes this up? Because we've heard the president talk about one big, beautiful bill. That's not exactly what we have here yet.
That's right. So what the Senate passed last night, or I guess very early this morning after 10 hours of all-night work, is one outline for a bill that looks specifically at the border and defense. And their plan was to take up another budget that would deal with tax issues. What the House wants to do is actually move them all together rather than under two different bills. And so the House next week, they're going to be advancing their own proposal, which Donald Trump has endorsed. The thing about that is Donald Trump, he's not much of a person for, the policy minutia here. Mostly he just wants to sign something. So even though he's endorsing the idea of one bill, I've been told many times over and over from people in the White House that he just wants legislation to sign. He just wants his agenda to move no matter how it moves. So it's going to come down to Republicans in the House and Senate finally coming to an agreement. And I got to say, I'm shocked that we are this far into a new administration with unified Republican control, and you have Republicans in two different chambers warring about their strategy. It's really striking.
It is. All right, Rachel Bade, thank you.